All right, so this week's guitar lesson is a collaboration with my buddy Quist. He and I will do these from time to time. And he emailed a few weeks ago and asked if I'd be interested. And I jumped at it. I said yes, because they're always super popular. Every time we do these, they always do really well. And I think it's because there's a different energy. Anytime you're composing a song, with somebody where there's a collaboration, it ends up being something better than it would be if I had just tried to do it myself. And so the way this works, I'm saying this, we didn't sit down and collaborate in that sense, but he wrote the jam track and he sent me that. I got that in the email a few days ago, and then I get to just react to that and play something on top of it and create this lesson and explain what was played. And so a little plug for Quist. If you don't know Quist, I have links in the description below for his social stuff, his social media stuff. Check him out on Spotify, Instagram, YouTube channel. He's a great composer, and he writes these awesome jam tracks. So if you're looking online for some jam tracks in different styles, he's got all kinds of different styles, and you want to just sit and jam along with something, he's a really good resource for that. So definitely check him out. He's also a great guitar player, so follow him on Instagram if you don't. And check out his stuff. He posts all the time. And every now and then I might steal a lick or two from you, Quist. It's always good stuff. So anyway, so that's Quist. And thank you, Quist, for sending this. This has been a lot of fun. Now, when I listened to this had an Eric Clapton, sort of a 90s Eric Clapton vibe. It sounded like something from Pilgrim, that album. And so that's why I'm using this guitar, which I'll mention more about in a minute. But the tone of it was something, I wanted to get that kind of sound. Anyway, I got that vibe when I listened to it. And everything I was playing, or at least most everything, was major pentatonic scale. So we're going to be talking about the major pentatonic scale, connecting it to chord shapes, talk about phrasing, all of that stuff as we get into this. And the whole point of this is to give you ideas for things you can do. So you're going to walk away with some new ideas for things maybe you haven't thought about before. So we're going to break that down over the course of 2 videos. In this video, we'll go through the first half of everything. I'll explain tone setup and all of that. If you'd like to watch the second video, download the Tablature, download that awesome Quist MP3 jam track. You can get all those extra materials by going to activemelody.com. Go to the weekly lessons page and do a search for EP547. All right, so let me talk about tone really quick. 2 things. One is I'm playing through a Line 6 Helix, which is down here on the floor. And I've been using that pretty much exclusively for these videos for the last, I don't know, at least half a year or so. I really like the sounds I can get from them. It's very easy and convenient, and it's just easy to sort of dial in what I'm looking for. And so I have 2 effects on that. I have an amp and a reverb, and that's it. So the amp is a matchless amp. It's actually called a matchstick. I guess they can't use the word matchless. Copyright probably. But anyway, that's the sound, and then there's a spring reverb. So very simple tone setup. Now this guitar is the other piece of the tone, and this is one, I don't think I've used this in a video yet. Actually, I know I haven't. I would remember this. I've had this guitar for several months. This is an Eric Clapton signature series, but this is a new one that they just came out with for the Crossroads festival that he does. He does those every so many years, and it's really to raise money and awareness for his treatment center down in Antigua, which is a good cause. And they did a limited run of these, so they did 60 of them. And when I saw that they went on sale, and thought, limited run, it's probably a good investment opportunity. And plus it's Eric Clapton, so it's never going to go down in value. So anyway, I had to have it. So that's what this is. And this is designed by Crash, was the designer who does all those really cool Clapton designs. Here's the back of it. So those really kind of wild Clapton guitars that you've seen him play in the last 20 years or so, this designer does those. So that's the design. I thought it was great. Actually, leave a comment and let me know what you think about this. I think it's sort of polarizing design. Now, I saw online some people hated it. They thought it was the ugliest thing they've ever seen. Some people really liked it. To me, that blue pickguard was what made it. I just thought, how cool is that? That's very unusual look. And it actually came in the case. It came with a white pickguard as well. So you can swap them out if you don't like this one. But I love it. I thought it was great. Now, other than the design, the rest of it is pretty much your standard Eric Clapton signature series guitar. noiseless pickups, same wood and neck profile and everything. What really makes it unique though is this knob, this boost. And I can just demonstrate what that does. So here's the sound I use when I played this. It's clean with a little bit of overdrive, and that's coming from the line 6 down here. You can hear a little bit of breakup, but listen to what happens when I engage this boost. Totally different. Now I'm playing through the neck pickup, so it's kind of mellow. I have the tone all the way up. But you can see that boost really does overdrive your sound. So Eric, I guess, uses that when he wants to really go to the next level on his lead. You can just engage that. I was not using that at all when I was playing this lead, but it's cool to know that it's there, I guess. So that's the guitar, that's the tone setup. Let's listen to the first little phrase of this, and then we'll talk about what's going on. Okay, so this song is played in the key of A, and we're going to be starting off, actually most of what we're going to be playing is major pentatonic scale, A major pentatonic scale. And I'm starting down here playing this. Little simple phrase, kind of lower end notes here. But let me just explain where these notes are coming from first, then we'll get into the very specifics of what's going on. And I'll make this one little connection point. A lot of you already know this, and you're going to be like, yeah, duh, we got it. But there's going to be somebody out there that this one little idea, this one little piece of information will blow your mind. When I learned this, I still remember it was very impactful. And here's what it is. So we're playing the key of A. So if you look at your A chord right here using this A, we'll call this the A shape from the Cage system. And then look at your A major pentatonic scale. This is pattern 1, by the way. You can see that this chord shape lives inside of this pentatonic pattern. It's off to that left side. I'll put a graphic up on the screen so you can see exactly what I'm seeing and what I'm talking about. So what that means to me is, and this is the part that I got excited about, was like, oh, so anytime I'm playing this chord shape, I can very quickly get into my pentatonic sound, pattern 1. So if I'm playing something, I can go right into licks off of that chord shape. So, and it's movable because we're thinking Cage system now, right? So let's move it up to here. That's a C. So that means my C major pentatonic scale is right here. So you can just move it around, and now I've got a quick reference to a chord and the pentatonic scale, and I can kind of interchange them. I can jump into licks and throw those into the chord shape and all of that stuff. So it can enhance your rhythm playing and also your lead playing. It's a simple little thing, but I just wanted to start with that. So the first notes that I'm playing are coming from the bottom part of that pattern 1. And so it comes in on the 1, and this is in 6/8 time. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3. So the first notes are in the 1. It's just an open 5th string, that open A. And then I played this. So that's sliding up to the 4th fret on the 5th string. And then we're going to jump up to the 4th string and play. That's 2, hammer onto the 4th, back to 2, and then down to the 4th fret 5th string again, and then land on 2nd fret 4th string. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That comes in on the 4. Okay, let's listen to the next part. All right, so we're staying in the major pentatonic scale, and we're going to now jump up to the 3rd string. Actually, next notes we're going to be playing are all on the 3rd string. So it's 2, 4, and then up to the 6th fret. 2, 4, 6. So this is pattern 1, right? You You can see that. But then when you come up to here, you're in pattern 2 of your major pentatonic scale, of your A major pentatonic scale. Now, pattern 2 of your A major pentatonic scale lives inside your E chord shape. So this is my A chord, but these 3 fingers are making the E shape. But you can see that pattern 2, like, you know, pattern shape, or however you think of it, lives inside of that chord shape. Or the chord shape lives inside of the pattern, however you want to look at it. But just make those little connection points. Okay, there's my A shape, and then here's my E shape. So that way I can play this chord and go into licks, you know, using that. So we walked up 3 notes, 2, 4, 6, and then a half bend with a release. That's on that 6th fret 3rd string. And then there's a little hammer-on pull-off between the 4th fret and the 5th fret. And then back to your 2nd fret. Now, some of you may want to go like this. Little slide. I see some players doing it that way. However you want to do that. Now the next phrase goes like this. That's also where the song goes to the 4 chord, which is our D. Even though the song goes to the D, I'm not really following that. I'm not trying to follow the chord changes per se. I'm just staying in the key. So when I'm playing this, starts on the 2nd string, 5th fret to the 7th fret. And when I'm playing that, I'm plucking with my index finger. You get a different tone if you hear how poppy that sounds. You can pop it kind of hard too. It sounds different than if I hit it with a pick. It sounds more mellow and more plasticky versus, you know. So after I played that, I do a quick slide. I really started that on the 6th fret, 3rd string, down to the 4th fret. And then down to the 2nd fret. So that's your D chord. Now we're going to repeat that line as it goes back to the A chord. So repeating that same phrase, but between the two. So the first time I go, that's your D, and then I went like a little fill lick. It's almost like if you were singing, your voice just sort of trails a little bit. It's like a Robert Cray kind of line, I think, maybe Stevie Ray Vaughan, I'm not sure where that came from. But it's 7th fret, 2nd string, half bend. So we do the half bend, back to the 7th fret, 5th fret, and then back to the 7th fret. So, and that's all it is. There's not much to it, but that gets us out of the major pentatonic scale just for that one note. That's minor, right? That's A minor pentatonic scale. But it just adds a little bit of blues in there, just a little tiny ingredient of it. You know, it's like adding a little cinnamon to your whatever. You know, you don't want a whole lot of it, but just a little bit just gives it the right amount of flavor. So there's the first time. There's a little fill lick, and then we go back to it. That's when it goes back to the A. And then to conclude that idea, I came down here and went. So it's just 4th fret to the 2nd fret. A little hammer on. And then we do the same thing on the 3rd. So it starts on the 4th string. And then we come up to the 3rd string and do the same thing. All right, so now the song goes from the 5 chord to the 4 chord. So we go from our E to our D. So when we play over the E, I went. That's all I did over the E chord. Now I'm back in my head, I'm back in major pentatonic scale pattern 2. That's between the 5th fret and the 7th fret on this 2nd string. But by doing a half bend, it's kind of like we just did actually, doing that half bend, you're going into the minor pentatonic scale. So it sounds a little bluesier. So all of that was between the 5th fret and the 7th fret. There's that half bend, release it on the 7th fret, back to the half bend, bend and release, and then back to your 5th fret 2nd string. So that fits over the E chord. Then it goes to the D chord, and I went. So that's a bar here on the 5th fret strings 1 and 2. And I'm doing a hammer on, so it's a downstroke with the right hand on the 2nd string, 5th fret to the 7th fret, and then an upstroke on the 5th fret, 1st string. So when you put it together, you go down, up with the right hand like this. With that little hammer on in between. That's a great little kind of fill lick that you hear quite a bit. It's like 70s rock. It's kind of got that kind of vibe. Like Southern rock. And then I do a hammer on back to that 7th fret 2nd string to conclude that lick. So when you put those two licks together, that's over the E. There's over the D. So the last thing we played then goes, and the next thing that happens goes like this. Let's look at that. So I'm keeping that bar on the 5th fret, first 2 strings. I've got my ring finger now on the 7th fret 3rd string, and I'm going to do an upstroke like this. And play, it's really an A sus chord, but I'm playing those 3 strings. And then we're going to go 2, 1. So 1, 2, 3, 2, 1. And then watch this. So this is just following those chords. Now, up to this point, I haven't really been following chords, but this little part, I just thought it was cool to walk down with the chords. A, G, D, E. So after this, we're gonna go like this. Keeping the bar there on that 5th fret, but I'm gonna do a hammer on between on the 3rd string between the 5th fret and 6th fret. So it's that, and then we go 1, 2. And that's just the top part of your A chord using the E shape. It's that triad. And then we're gonna slide in. We're gonna use the same triad for the G. Right? But instead of doing the hammer on, I just slid into it. I could have hammered it on though. Right? And now we're gonna play the D. So I played this triad. Instead of playing the full, it's the D chord using the A shape. I just needed this little triad. Slide that up 2 frets. There's my E. And then it goes into the second part, which is up here. That's like the same chord progression, but played an octave higher. So hopefully you picked up a few ideas for connecting that major pentatonic scale to chord shapes, working in some licks, those kinds of things. Working in the blues a little bit. Just doing a half bend on that one note. You don't have to get all of the ideas, but just get an idea, walk away. And connect all of that back to your chord shape so that you can use it in other keys going forward. Right? One other thing I didn't mention, which I probably should have, is out of this E shape, you've got your major pentatonic scale pattern 2, right? Which we talked about. But you've also got your minor pentatonic scale pattern 1. And that E shape lives inside of both, and this bar does too. So using those 2 things, you can come up with all kinds of things. If you want to blues it up, You've got the blues if you want to make it, dial it in, make it a little happier, major. You've got that, so you can combine them, you can do all kinds of stuff. So anyway, that's what we have for this part 1 video. Keep it simple, keep space in between notes. It's okay to breathe, it's okay to let it sort of simmer for a little bit. You don't always have to be playing something. Just keep these ideas in your head. And always connect it back to a chord shape so that you can use it in other keys. All right, we'll see you in part 2 where we'll go over the second half.